And welcome everyone to episode 96 of One Piece at a Time, the One Piece read-through podcast where we read and discuss 5 chapters of the One Piece manga each and every week. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined by my wonderful co-host and freelance letterer at Shonen Jump, Brandon Bovia. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm, of course, letterer of manga like Kaiju number 8 and Dragon Ball Super, and we're just ever so closer to episode 100.
Yeah, man... It's a very weird feeling, to say the least.
It is. I think between being episode 96 and like where we're at in the story right now, it feels like we're in the thick of it.
I'm trying to time it out right now, just off the top of my head. So 97 will get us to 440. 98 will be 445. Oh my God! You know what our 100th episode is going to be?
Is that 450?
No.
Wait, I'm an idiot.
No. Our 100th episode is going to be movie 8.
No!
Yep.
No!
So, I mean, is this the second time that we'll be celebrating a milestone in Alabasta? Because where was episode 50? I forget.
We're going back, baby.
Yep. Oh, boy. Well, we'll get there when we get there, but...
what a cursed way.
I've never seen it, actually, so I'm curious how that's going to go.
Yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
But for now, we've got some lore to talk about because we've spoken before how like Oda loves to pop in a bunch of just lore stuff happening, just things happening elsewhere in between the arcs. And this might be the biggest example of that, at least so far.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's part of what keeps the One Piece formula so addicting, right? Because it is like... It's like you zoom in for the individual arcs, and then Oda zooms way out to set up just like the sort of close future and then the far future. all
these little hints, and you never quite know which way he's going to go.
Yeah. Hey, did you remember One Piece has subplots? Because
we were so focused on Ines Lobby for so long. So yeah, there are subplots there that we have to take care of. So let's get to some of those with chapter 431, Fist of Love. And God, I love this 2-page spread.
Yeah, this one's real great. I love that it's just Luffy, Chopper, and Robin. Robin, of course, just rocking the drip,
Oh, yeah.
Shirt out, love the jacket.
She looks fantastic in that. Honestly, I see that outfit. It's like, she could hang out in Juri's new outfit 3 from Street Fighter 6.
Yeah. It is very much like that.
It's like, that would kind of work.
Like street clothes? It's not what I would think of Robin wearing, but it kind of works.
Yeah. I feel like Oda goes model-ish with Robin's drip, as we put it.
Definitely.
Even Luffy with the tie looking good. Honestly, I love the Snake has a tie too, but yeah. Honestly, the most badass here might be the cow. I love the sideways cap.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, let's get into the chapter itself. As we've reached 2 days after the incident, we sort of got the idea of trains coming in. Things are kind of back to normal as it kind of seems. And now we have a much greater focus on the fact that Zoro did lose one of his swords.
Yeah. And it was the one that he bought in Roguetown?
Yes, because he got the other 2 from Roguetown. One was the Curse Blade that he was proved that his luck was better. This was the one that was gifted to him because the owner was so impressed. And the only way I got that is because the flashback saying just take it, because I would not remember otherwise which was which.
Right. Yep.
So, yep. And so got Zoro just contemplating his sword while everybody realizes that, holy crap, Uncle Laguna this year was bad.
Just one little note about the sword. It's kind of interesting that it got broken in a fight against some random dude.
I know, it wasn't against anything major.
It's kind of blink and you miss it. It's just like, oh, it broke. Okay.
It's such a minor thing when you really think about everything going on. But I like that it has ramifications, that just in the chaos of it all, there was consequences.
Yep.
So it's a good feeling there. But things are kind of bad this year. But hey, Paulie is here rocking it, saying, all right, Galila, we're gonna fix up these buildings that got knocked down. We're going to get all this taken care of. And you still have your paying work to do. This is charity work. You rebuild these places between jobs. And it's like, oh my God, crunch culture.
Yeah. Bad management. Although I find it interesting because the sort of the rebuilding vibe you get from sort of like these opening pages, it's almost as if like all of the action took place on Water 7, because I think that's what you would think of in like most stories where it's like, oh, you know, we got to rebuild after all of the fighting, but like no, like this is all just from the weather basically.
Yeah, just Aqua Laguna itself, and maybe a little bit of the Straw Hats rescuing Luffy, but nothing major.
Yep.
I don't think we're rebuilding Enos Lobby.
No, you know, I'm not sure. I genuinely don't know.
Hard to say on that one.
Yeah.
But I like the Frankie family being like, man, building is hard. It's better at breaking.
Yeah. And I think what I really love about this section is that like you really feel the city of Water 7 as a community. Like they're all coming together to rebuild. And
yeah.
It's not something that's put like a great amount of emphasis on, but like it's nice, you know, because the Frankie family is definitely not loved in the context of Water 7, but like, hey, you know, they live here too, and they're trying to help.
Yeah, there's a sense of community here that I don't know if we've gotten since Alabasta, really, because you got a little bit of that in Skypiea, but that was mostly
which arguably probably needs more rebuilding, but I guess that's why Oda put it in the cover story.
Yeah. But hey, Sodom and Gomorrah are going to be fine thanks to Chopper, so we're all good there. And the people want to come see the pirates so they can thank them.
Which what a contrast.
Right? We got to apologize and we got to thank them, and I love that we get to see the Giants and what they're doing, because that fight between Frankie and Luffy that caused that big part to fall, they're fixing just so easily.
Yeah. Oh, that's what that is. Yeah.
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 Like they're really, Oda's reaching back, so it's pretty cool. And I love that Usopp's just hanging out with them.
They're friends, and I love that like they kind of offers like, hey man, we can't go back to see our to Little Garden to see our boss, and so like we're gonna go back to Elbaf. You want to come?
And you're just like, what is Usopp going to do? Is he going to go back to the crew? I mean, I think we kind of know, but even still.
Yeah, I mean, but if you're gonna put out like a tempting proposition, like I think that's how you do it for Usopp, to sort of like to really get him to think about it.
Yeah, see these warriors, and yeah, even so, we go to the Galila headquarters and the ruins of the manor, which is already getting rebuilt as well, which I kind of love.
Yeah,
that everything gets rebuilt so quick, and Frankie and Iceberg are just hanging out,
which is kind of awesome, because again, at the start of this arc, you know, they hated each other's guts, and now here they are just like having a casual conversation. And
I love that Iceberg's like, I'm going to make the island float. I love that we end with this hope, because we have like, you know, you're going to turn Water 7 into a ship. Is that even possible? It's like, well, we watched a man do the impossible, so do it with a bang. And I like that you have this whole like downturn thing. It's like, yeah, Water 7's sinking, and instead you have this, and it's like, what are you going to do with that? But no, we got Iceberg here, who is a apprentice of Tom, and like, yeah, he could do it.
Yeah, because I mean, when we see that, we have the context as the readers that like Tom, you know, revitalized and revolutionized Water 7 and basically saved it, you know, almost single-handedly. So to see that kind of like Tom take inspiration for that, not Tom, Iceberg take inspiration for that, I think is really cool. Yeah, it is pretty awesome. And completely forgot about this plot point for a long time. The Sea Train is here with the thing that Frankie bought for 200 billion berries. Yeah. Wow. That's Straw Hat money. We'll see what they actually bought. In the meantime, Kokoro is visiting the Straw Hats, and she's like, oh, Luffy's already awake. He's eating. He's back on his feet and eating. And Sanji's like, no, not really. He didn't want to miss meals while passed out from a fight, so he learned how to sleep and eat in his sleep. Yeah, which is great. Which is so good. Yep. It's just, I feel like, God, because after Alabasta, he was out, right? Just for like 3 days or something like that. And he calculated how many meals he missed immediately. Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. So this really is just like the next step in that gag. Great character development. Yeah, seriously. Here's the other crazy thing. I forget the initial, didn't they say it was like a week or something for the log pose to set itself while in Water 7?
And Kokoro comes in here, is like, oh yeah, it should be ready in 2 or 3 days. Where are you going next? It's like, oh God, it has only been like 4 days since I've been here.
So much has happened.
I got You gotta love it. So many chapters, and you like how much time has actually passed since the beginning of the manga. It's hard to tell.
Yep. A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of cool. We got this depression from Nami. It's like, well, all the money we saved for our new ship, is gone. Our clothes, our furniture,
all our
Belmav's
stuff,
tangerines.
Yeah,
Laguna took it away. So
not something that they address a whole lot, but that is, a part of the ship that means a whole lot to her specifically.
Yeah, I remember they had offloaded the Mary before that, and it was at the inn.
Yeah,
but I didn't realize it had been confiscated, and they're like, yeah, we brought back all your stuff because we're sorry. And then I love Nami hugging the
kept
trees.
it.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's yeah. Oh, you know how much that means to her.
Mm-hmm. That's a good feeling. And
yep.
here comes Chopper and Robin being like, hey, we got all our stuff back, and we're good to continue our voyage. And then Frankie shows up because he has to talk to them.
Of course, ass first.
Yep, of course. That's just the way you enter when you're Frankie.
Yep.
But it's story time, because he tells us there is a war-torn island far, far away where there's a tree, and whether the people on the island fight wars and rain cannonballs from the sky, or whether they all die off and their buildings turn to ruins, the tree always remains. It's a special tree called Adam, the strongest tree in the world. It can't be chopped down.
Nose, but
I know, really. Can't be chopped down, and people gather around it to create nations. There's only a few in existence. And Frankie says every so often, wood from that tree is sold on the black market, and I wanted some of that wood, but it cost $200 million. But that's when I happened to run into some pirates with a lot of money. You guys, that's what I bought. And my dream was to use that tree to build a ship of dreams that can overcome any ocean.
Here we go.
And now we get to come full circle. It's like, I got the wood, the blueprints are finished, I'm going to start building the ship. Please sail on the ship that I made.
What a turnaround, man. God, I love Frankie so much, man.
Yeah. Oh, he's great. He's just come around so much as a character from when we first got introduced to him. And
yeah, like he stole the money for sure, and was going to build a ship anyway with it. So like after spending all that time with the Straw Hats, it's just like, I'm gonna do this for you guys. I'm gonna make you a ship.
Yeah. And I mean, they really have done so much for him and gotten a lot of closure for a lot of his past. And and we even gets a bit more lore. It's like the one ship that ever managed to go around the world is Gold Roger's ship, the Oro Jackson. It's said that ship was also made with this wood, and I'm going to make your ship just as good as his was. And yep,
man, I love the parallels of like Tom built Gold Roger's ship, and now Tom's apprentice is going to potentially build the ship for the next king of the pirates.
Potentially, yeah. It gives that. Yeah. You always love to see those connections between Luffy and
it gives this moment a lot of
Roger.
weight.
Yeah, it really does. But all of a sudden, everybody's celebrating, but Zoro's in a panic because he's like, I have to tell them. It's like something's coming, and he's like, oh crap, where am I?
Yeah,
because it's Zoro.
Of course, he's lost, so he's couldn't get there in time.
And that's when we see who actually arrived. Vice Admiral Garp. Remember him?
Yeah. Oh, that guy from the live action show.
Yeah. Or or if we're only reading the manga years ago, it was like, right, the guy from the Kobe and Helmeppo
the cover
stories. It's like the first time the cover story has really come back in the main story since Buggy.
Yeah.
Which fittingly enough is that in the anime, only Buggy and Kobe have ever gotten actual episode adaptations for their stories.
Yeah, which feels like a little bit of a missed opportunity, but
yeah, a bit. But they're like, oh god, he's here to capture Luffy. He's cornered the Pirate King on many occasions during the era of the Gold Rogers. Like, please don't take him away. And
right, like we just got done fighting on Eni's lobby. It's like, oh come on, man.
Yeah, it's like they helped our town. Help, please don't do this. And he tells two people that we might recognize, kinda, to stay on standby. Crashes through the wall, and he's like, "So you're the Straw Hats. I have some men that I want Monkey D. Luffy to meet." And they're like, "Oh God, the Navy!" And he immediately punches Luffy, saying to wake up.
Well, yeah.
And they're all like, wait, that actually hurt? You shouldn't work on rubber. And that's when Garp says, Fist of Love cannot be blocked, and takes off his dog hat. And it's like, Grandpa?
Yeah. And then, of course, everybody else is, Grandpa.
Yeah.
So there's reveal number 1.
Yeah, this would be massive for people who only read the manga. But of course, the live action show decided to put Garp way earlier, which was a bit contentious.
While that was the tricky thing, while we were talking about the live action show, where it's like, I have a lot of thoughts about Garp, but like we hadn't got to him in the manga yet, but they moved him way up. So it's like, how do I navigate that?
Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of fun things they introduce about Garp here that they had in there, like the dog hat, of course, and
and you instantly sort of understand his relationship with Luffy just by the way that he kicks down a wall and just like runs up to Luffy and punches him in the face.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
I it's a fun introduction, and it's definitely one of those things where I gotta see what happens next. What the heck? I didn't expect Luffy's grandfather to show up, and then for him to be Garp, introduced how far back.
Yeah, that's the cool thing too, because it's like, if you have been paying attention to the cover stories, you know who Garp is, like more or less. Like you
kind of remember him. It's like, oh yeah, that guy. Yeah,
and then but Oda is still able to, he keeps his cards close to the chest. It's like, oh, he's Luffy's grandpa.
Yes. So,
a Navy vice admiral.
Yeah, which is
his
nuts.
grandpa. Yeah.
We do have an SBS. One of them is just very silly. One of is like, can you use Coop de Boo because you eat sweet potatoes, and like we get fart jokes. And then we have like, out of the 6 powers, I want iron body the most. You can make any part of your body hard, right? That would be awful. That would be awful if that part didn't get hard. And I wouldn't mention this, but I like that Oda's like, I don't get it.
Don't lie.
Yeah, I know. Friggin' Oda.
Why did he always fix the stupid questions to answer?
I know, he really does. But there are some good SBSs in this set, so we'll get to that. Yeah. So yeah, let's go ahead and move over to chapter 432, Jack in the Box. And I like that, because at first I was like, why do we need this? Because we already had a breakdown of how the rankings work before, but that was part of an SBS. This is a title page for the people who don't get the collections, they can see the rankings as well. So that's pretty cool. Of course, we have chore boys. We got the seaman apprentice and recruits, then petty officers and all that. So I like how we get like the characters that are in the Navy as we go up and can see what they're all about and see how they're all what they're all like. The crazy thing to me as I was looking through all of this, we still have not met the commander-in-chief of the world government. We've only met the fleet admiral.
Yeah. Well, I think the commander-in-chief is the world government as a whole.
Is it?
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, I think it's sort of like the American president, where it's the president is the leader.
Right. Yeah.
Technically, he's the commander-in-chief of the military.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I think as far as the Marines go, the fleet admiral is the top of the top. We've seen Sengoku, but I guess like who's above him?
Right.
We don't have quite a strong indication of. Yeah, I guess that's the tricky thing about the relationship between the world government and the Marines. Yeah,
I'm actually curious whether the commander-in-chief would end up being somebody really powerful like the admirals and the potentially Sengoku, or somebody more like Spandam, who's just in a position of power and can command all these people to do these things, though he's not strong himself. So I don't know. It's a curious one.
I feel there's two types of powerful a-holes in One Piece.
Yeah, very much so. But yeah, we are introduced properly to Monkey D. Garp. Garp the Fist. That's good.
Which, I mean, true to his name.
I mean, he hurt Luffy, so there you go.
Yeah.
And Luffy's immediately like, don't attack him, guys. He will kill you.
Yeah, just straight up.
It's like, I don't know how many times my grandpa almost killed me when I was small.
Yeah. I love this bit from Garp. God, Garp is such a funny character too. That's the best part. Where he's just like, don't give people the wrong impression. It's like, I may have thrown you down a unfathomable ravine. I threw you into the jungle at night. I tied you to a balloon and watched you fly off into the distance. But I did it all to make you stronger.
And all of a sudden, like, it clicks with Sanji, but it also clicks with us. It's like, oh, this is why Luffy's so strong at the beginning of the manga.
Yeah, because
he was trained by a vice admiral. Yeah, he's strong.
Yeah, and that makes sense too. And I think we touched on this in our discussion of the live action show. But Garp's whole thing is like he trained Luffy to be a strong Navy man.
Yeah.
So he and this, I feel like this is sort of where the core of where they got Garp's arc from in the live action show.
They very much expanded on that, where Garp wanted Luffy to be in the Navy. And even, I like this. Yeah, I entrusted you and Ace to a friend of mine for the training, but the moment I took my eyes off you, look at what happened. Look what happened. You both became pirates. And he's like, that's because of the redheaded idiot filling you with stupid ideas. It's like, hey, Shanks saved my life. And
yeah,
I like how they're like, seem to be coming to blows again soon. Luffy's actually apologizing. He's still afraid of his grandfather.
Yeah, which is funny. I feel like very few things, like, this is the man who basically declared war on the world government and, did unspeakable crimes to get his friend back. And then, he's just in front of his grandpa. He's helpless.
But they're also totally related because they immediately fall asleep.
Yeah, which I thought back to that gag in Alabasta with Ace too, where he just falls asleep mid-conversation, mid-meal. So it runs in the family. Yeah.
I like how Frankie's the one freaking out the most because what am I supposed to do? I've never been in this situation. This is, oh God, I'm so beyond my depth.
Yeah. Oh, it's great.
It's like, falling asleep while yell at you, social manners. It's like, oh boy, let's stay out of this. And I love that Usopp's even watching through the window with
yeah, he's just like, oh God. Right, yeah, we skimmed over that, but the Yokozuna's too big to fit. That's why he's outside.
Yeah. Here's the interesting part that we learn so much more about Shanks. All Luffy wants to know is like, hey, he's fine, right? Where is he? And all Garp says is among all the countless pirates, he's considered to be on the same level as Whitebeard. He's one of the 4 greatest pirates in the world who live in the second half of the Grand Line. They rule the lands there with an iron grip. They're called the 4 Emperors.
Yeah, oh boy.
We just got a whole new class system. Holy crap.
Yeah, basically. And that Shanks, the guy who got beer spilled on him in chapter 1, is one of the 4 most powerful pirates in the world.
Exactly.
Oh,
and just laughed it off. That's amazing.
I mean, we thought it was funny when Mihawk just like followed Don Krieg and such like back to the Grand Line because he was bored, and he was just like, I'm just here having fun. Like, no, like Shanks is like, what if the final boss was just hanging out in the starting area? Just like, man, it's chill.
It's like when you finish an RPG or right before the final boss and be like, I'm going to go back to the early ones, and you find all those monsters that gave you trouble at the beginning. It's like, whatever.
Yeah, level. Hey, he lost his arm against a level 1 mob.
Yeah, true. I also like that this maybe not explains why they're friends or at least associates, but explains why he's not afraid of Mihawk.
Oh yeah, totally.
Whew.
I love that, like, that puts Shanks in a completely different light, and I love that.
Mm-hmm. Equal to Whitebeard, who was also the only one that could actually challenge Roger, so, geez. Yeah,
no, well, I'm sure we'll get to this over the course of the series, but, like, I think that's what I love. One thing I love about Oda as a storyteller is, like, he's so patient. Like, not to... This is basically the tippy top. These 4 are the tippy top, and they will remain the tippy top of the pecking order.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've already, we've seen Whitebeard on screen. We don't know who the other 2 are yet. But like the fact that like, oh yeah, no, like these are it. That's it. The 4 most powerful pirates in the world. Full stop.
It also goes back to power levels that we talked about here and there before, where it's like, yeah, like. One Piece does this thing rather than, oh no, this guy all of a sudden is the new most powerful thing ever that we never talked about before. Is like, no, these guys are strong, but here's other things that we've introduced earlier, and here's an idea of just how strong they are, that they're stronger than even these guys that you're beating. Like, you just took out CP9, they're nothing compared to these 4 emperors.
Yeah. and I think that's really it at the end of the day. It's like I feel like very little that's just like, oh, this super strong guy's out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, it's, the secret boss. I was behind everything. Wahaha, that kind of thing. Like, no, not really.
They're established, and our characters might not know about them, but it helps us learn about them. And I recognize one of the four emperors just because of things popping up and people talking about this character. I don't the other.
Yeah.
So
and well, that's the fun thing. They're kind of they're recognizable, but not finished designs. Certainly.
Yes.
Yeah.
It does not surprise me. So
yeah, which I think that was the case with the warlords too, where we got them in shadow super early on, and they were like kinda, but not really. Yeah, I think you could say that this is a similar case too.
I'd say, but so. I like that it gives himself some wiggling room.
Yeah, and Garp goes on to say something interesting here too, where it's like it's all kind of about the balance of power in the world, where the Navy and the 7 warlords are, they're basically the check against the 4 emperors. Mm-hmm. So, and if the balance between these 3 great powers is broken, the world will fall into disarray, which is,
oh boy,
ominous.
But Luffy doesn't care. He's like, oh, Shanks is okay. That's great.
Yeah, he's not impressed. He's like, oh, Shanks is, he's just at the top of the pecking order. No big deal.
I love that.
Although I love that.
Okay, I think we're about to say the same thing where Robin's he has connections with Shanks.
Yeah.
And even though he's like, that's where he got his straw hat, but I didn't know he was so famous.
Yeah. Huh.
Also, I love this bit. It took me a while to realize what was there, but so Zoro finally arrives because he had 2 guys show him the way. 2 guys that were trying to mug him. Did you notice who they were?
I did notice this. Yes, Michael and Weichel. We're finally bringing that stupid bit back around.
I love the one that they thought that initially were the traitors.
Yeah. What was it? Lulu and Tilestone.
Yes.
Yeah. They're like, oh yeah, it was definitely Michael and Weichel.
I love that they actually got integrated.
I didn't see that bit coming back around.
No, I didn't either. I don't think I would have ever noticed that the first time I read this, so that's wonderful. Yeah. Oh boy. But here comes Zoro, and when Garp notices, it's like, hey, you two, try and stop him. So all of a sudden Zoro is fighting through Navy men, and all of a sudden this guy with these kukri knives attacks, and Zoro blocks him, and Luffy's like, hey, you don't have to fight. And all of a sudden somebody goes to kick Luffy and is able to use shave, one of the 6 techniques, gets away. But Luffy is still strong enough that he's able to. He just beat Lucci, so he predicted where he's going to show up and puts him to the ground already. Yeah,
and then I love Garp just laughs it off, just like, you guys were no match at all, not even close.
And they're like, "Oh, you're so strong, just like I remembered." I yield. It's like, "Hey, long time no see." And who are you? It's friggin' Kobe with the glow up.
Yeah, no, seriously, which is God. So I feel that's another thing again. Like if you're paying attention to the cover stories, you knew that Kobe and on the next page, Helmeppo, they were both training under Garp, but like we did not know. Like, oh, he looks like a completely different character now.
Yeah,
and even Luffy's just kind of like, I know I have a friend named Kobe, but he's shorter. You must be some other guy.
The useless No, I'm not Kobe. The useless crybaby. I love that he calls himself that. Yeah. I'm not a commissioned officer yet, but I heard that you were 2 in the area, so I had to come see you. And we see that they made their way to Kobe to chief petty officer, while Helmeppo is petty officer. So they're actually, according to the front, they're actually climbed up because I believe they began as chore boys, right?
Yeah, that would make sense.
So they're getting officer. They're not quite up to, let's see, it was warrant officer who Iron Body, Iron. Oh God, what was his name? Full Body. He was a warrant officer before, right?
I don't remember.
It's been so long, but he is definitely stronger than Full Body, so he's just not as high of a rank.
Like Kobe could use shave. Just think about that. That's awesome.
Yeah. After seeing everything that the CP9 did with shave and whatnot, I was like, holy crap, Kobe. And obviously not as strong, but what progress.
Yeah, which is just, again, just the poor little chore boy in Alvita shit from chapter 2 is just, I love this, and I love that Kobe's like, a lot of things happened. We ended up getting trained by Vice Admiral Garp himself, and it's like, well, yeah,
yeah. And I love how Helmeppo is trying to look cool with his new glasses and
he gets there. I respect it. He looks pretty good.
Yeah, they don't recognize him at first. It's like, yeah, I'm Helmeppo, Captain Morgan's son. It's like, I tied you up almost and had you executed. It's like, they still don't know. It's like, come on. It's like,
yeah,
I'm the idiot son that took advantage of my dad's name. It's like, oh yeah, that jerk. He's like, I love them.
Like Luffy's reaction to like, oh, it's Kobe. He's more freaked out, but then they're like, oh, Helmeppo. Okay, yeah, sure.
And I love how he's immediately like, hey, fix the wall. Garp is like, fix the wall. It's like, hey, why are you asking us to fix it when you break it in the first place? Because it's cooler. It's a cooler entrance.
Yeah. I love that. Like, Garp has this back and forth with his officers, and his officers are, they respect him enough to be just like, no. Like, if we're if you order us around, you help too.
You can get some very different vice admirals, it looks like.
Yeah.
Some that are willing to shoot you in the leg. Others is like, I punch a hole in the wall. You guys fix it, but it's fine.
Yeah.
And then we get something that was teased a little farther back, the last volume, of course, not our episode. But I heard you met your father, Luffy. And he's like, what? I have a dad? Which is just a great reaction.
I think that explains a lot about Luffy.
And the fact that somehow Garp's been in contact with him because he says he saw you off at Rogue Town. Like, wait, Rogue Town? Actually, did they change it? It was Log Town before. They changed it to Rogue Town here. No wonder you were confused.
Yeah, no. I think in the English translation of the manga, it's always been Rogue Town.
Really? I swore it was Log Town before. Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah.
Because it makes more sense to me as Log Town instead of Rogue Town.
Yeah. But
it's like, Rogue Town. Your dad was there? Who was there? Who's my dad? And oh yeah, your father's name is Monkey D. Dragon, the revolutionary. The guy that saved him from Smoker is Luffy's father. All of a sudden, him doing that makes sense. And everybody hearing this, all the Navy officers is like, what?
What? Yeah.
Luffy is Dragon's son?
Luffy has no idea who this person is, but all of the Marine officers are just like, the Dragon, the revolutionary, had a son. It's like, wait, then the Dragon is Garp's son.
And this is the first time we've ever heard Dragon's full name. It's like, oh God, what the heck? It's like, even the others know who Dragon is. Like, you don't know who Dragon is?
Yeah.
Robin? So pirates usually don't attack the government or the Navy on their own, but there is a force that is trying to directly challenge the world government. That's the Revolutionary Army, and the man who's leading them is Dragon. By now, his ideology has spread to many nations of the world, causing them to rebel against the world government, and nations have collapsed because of that. So, naturally, the government is angry, and Dragon, the mastermind behind it all, is known as the world's greatest criminal. So they're always searching for him to no avail. Nobody knows anything about him, and yet he's Garp's son and Luffy's grandfather, Luffy's father. So it's like, hey, just forget I said anything.
Yeah, it's just like, we can't forget that. Although I did check back because, God, it's so hard for me to keep up like with what details have been revealed or not. And if you remember, on the sea train on the way to Enia's lobby, some of the CP9 guys were like, I think I want to say it was like Fukuro and maybe some of the other ones who were just kind of like, oh yeah, we were we were fighting against the Revolutionary Army, basically. Yes,
you have heard about them here and there. But
yeah, it's just one of those things that's mentioned off on the side, and then it's like, oh,
that's kind of important. It also would not surprise me if he's known as the world's worst criminal. Does he have a higher bounty than Whitebeard?
I do not know, and I don't want to guess either way.
Yeah, I understand that.
I think ballpark. I think I can say that.
Yeah,
probably
in the
ballpark.
same level. If I had to guess.
Yeah,
because honestly, I don't know how much we actually meet Dragon that often. I don't know how often he shows up.
Yeah, just one of those things to keep in the back of your mind. Just like Luffy's dad is apparently like the most infamous criminal on the planet. I'm stuck thinking about like how the greater world of One Piece has just been like, again, like I said at the top of the show, like the doors have been completely blown down, and I think
we've had things opening up before. This feels like the biggest.
Yeah, like, because now we kind of have the implication of this whole relationship where we got introduced to the Marines and the world government, and then, okay, now that, they have the 7 warlords who are kind of like the deterrent to other weaker pirates, and now it's both of those forces that are trying to keep the 4 emperors in check, and then the Revolutionary Army is the wild card.
Yeah. So
They're
all
not
of a sudden we have a
technically
ton
pirates,
of factions.
but- yeah. Suddenly, I feel like just from the implications alone that the story and world of One Piece has gotten a lot more complicated very suddenly.
We do have a wonderful SBS here. I love this one because I did not notice it, but I recognize this character. So there's a guy that has a dynamite equipped to him that's Kankichi Ryotsu from Kochikame, one of the longest running series in Shonen Jump. And it was actually celebrating its 30th anniversary because the manga started in 1976. And this came out in 2006, just to date us a bit.
I want to say Kochikame ended in 2016, so that'd be 40 years.
Oh, wow. Did it? I didn't realize it actually ended.
I want to say it was around 2016. I don't know.
Wow. I had no idea. I missed that somehow.
Yeah.
That feels weird because I've never read it, but I just know it was just one of those series. Because I know he was kind of front and center when I was in Japan in 2008, I want to say. Yeah, 2008. And because they were celebrating Shonen Jump's, I think, 50th anniversary. So there's like special ones like, here's this decade of Shonen Jump, this decade of Shonen Jump, and showing off all the characters. And it's fun to see the characters show up and the art styles modernized.
I just think about, we'll get to it when we get to it. It's way, way later. I don't remember the exact chapter number, but there's a nod to Naruto when Naruto ends in One Piece.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember when that was exactly. Somewhere in the 600s or 700s, I want to say. But like, it's cool that like Oda is like celebrating milestones of other manga in One Piece.
Yeah,
so
and it's
like
such a fun idea for the current manga of we could Shonen Jump to hide him in there just to celebrate. It's a fun project.
I love
and we
that.
get to be reminded. And honestly, it looks pretty good in this style. It's a fun style. Also, I love how he says 30 years of Kochikame. That's amazing. It would not surprise me if One Piece ended at its 30-year mark because it started 97 or 98.
Yeah, somewhere around there. And that, I mean, if Oda guesstimates that we have like 5-ish years left of the manga, then that makes sense.
Yeah, we might have 30 years of One Piece. Wow.
God.
Oh, man. And that's something it's one thing to have a gag manga, which I think Kochikame is, for 30 years, or your mystery manga like freaking Detective Conan, but to have a continuous overarching story for that long, my God.
Yeah, no, that's why One Piece is just amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, chapter 433. We knew this was going to be a long one. The name of that sea. Where
I was like, good God, we're 40 minutes in.
So Aneru has gone down that crater where he saw something and found that somebody passed out in the hole with a canteen and a gun. So interesting.
There are living beings on the moon in One Piece.
Sure. Why not?
Somebody who has like a little like military hat and a gun. It's just all right. You know what? Whatever.
But we begin the episode, the chapter proper with Garp declaring, "You're my grandson, so I'm not going to catch you, even though you're a pirate." That's what I'll tell the Navy. So don't worry about it.
And then my boy Bogard here in the background. I didn't know he had a name.
Has Bogard been named yet?
Bogard does not have a name in the manga. I looked that up before.
Okay, he was only named in the live action.
Anime.
Oh, in the anime.
He's named in the anime, and the live action gives him a significantly higher role.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just love that just like this random dude in a hat. It's just like, oh, I know who that is now because the live action put him in every scene.
Yeah, I never really took notice to him. I thought it was just a different guy every time, but no, it's always the same guy.
That's so funny.
Yeah. He's like, I just came here as a favor to Kobe and Helmeppo, so you can take it easy and talk about old times. I'm going back. So it's like, oh, he is a nice grandpa. But then Luffy's just like, okay, bye. He's like, bye. Is that all I have to say to your old grandpa? And he punches him.
Yeah.
He's like, what do you expect me to do? All you ever did was punch me. I want to be loved by my grandson, you idiot.
I love that, like, I feel like Luffy is always the illogical one in his relationships with other people, but he has to deal with Garp, who is significantly more illogical than he is, and so Luffy comes out as the more, like, the relatively normal one in that dynamic.
Yeah.
It's just so good.
I love that. And
Yeah.
things calm down a bit, and everybody is just talking about it. It's like, oh my gosh, like, even Luffy's family is even out of the ordinary. So what the heck is up with that? And Sanji's even like to Zoro's like, it's nice to see. Why aren't you out there? He's your friend too, right? It's nice to see him, but the one who saved him was Luffy, and you could just see the three of them talking outside. That's a nice little moment. And Chopper tells us that Nami's gone too. She wanted to hear about the Navy, but I guess she decided against it because Robin tells us she's actually went to the pool with Kokoro and the others, which immediately gets Sanji's attention.
Sanji's just like, all right, I gotta go.
Yep. So it's like, see ya. But yeah, we actually see the conversation between the two of them when we get a bit more information, especially something that we had questions about. And I forgot they answered this here. It's like, so you guys went over the mountain and onto the Grand Line. It's like, oh no, we didn't take Reverse Mountain. We went through the Calm Belt. It's like, what? That's cheating. How'd you do that?
Yeah, Luffy's like, that's not fair.
Yeah, it was like, we were in real trouble. It's like, oh, we have sea prism stones strapped to the hull of the ship. It emits the same energy of the ocean, so it essentially disguises them.
Yeah. And then I love the build up to this gag here where we, like, in mid conversation, like, oh, there's a transponder snail just kind of chilling behind a rock.
Yeah, we learn that is because Nami's spying, listening in on them and taking notes, which honestly, pretty smart.
Which of course, Oda can't resist the urge to draw Nami in a bikini, but I like that, like, it's just like a 1-page gag, but it's in character that, like, okay, yeah, she's doing this just because, she's trying to be sneaky.
She's even saying, hey, can't you see I'm wiretapping? I don't get this chains. I know what, I don't mind. This feels in character for Nami more than others.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. That's the difference for me. Is that, like, it's a good gag, and you're like, yeah, it's you know what he's here to do, but, like, there's a good gag behind it, so I'll allow it.
Mm-hmm. And then here's something I don't think we've heard about before.
More lore,
where Kobe says when it comes to technology, Dr. Vegapunk is number one. He's amazing because he is the one who discovered how to give devil fruits to just inanimate objects. He's the reason that we have the dog and Funkfried.
Yeah. So get ready to hear about Vegapunk a lot. And whether or not we'll see him on screen, I'll leave up to your imagination. But,
I can tell you this is that I remember hearing about Vegapunk a ton.
Yes.
Throughout, like, it just get mentioned here and there, just as great scientist. But I don't know if I never met him.
Yeah, well, we will see him mentioned a whole lot.
I mean, I love that. Here's an explanation. This guy is the reason why the devil fruit can do this. And it's like, crap.
And it's interesting that we have, well, I mean, obviously we have science here in the world of One Piece, but it's one of those things where it's like, no, there's a specific kind of science to sort of deal with how this world works. Like how Vegapunk apparently also, the thing about, like, putting the sea prism stones under the ships, where it's just like there's different and very specific applications of science to deal with the rules of this world.
Yeah, and it's really good. It's like, wow, there's all this world building that you get that feels kind of natural.
Yeah,
and you love to see it, but it also gets back to, it's like, it's a character piece. It's all said and done because you got Luffy and them laughing together, and Nami just hears that and she's like, okay, I'm done wiretapping. I don't need.
And this is the scene I thought about during the last episode of the live action show, where it felt like those really heartfelt conversations between Luffy and Kobe felt like they came from here.
Yes, I agree, and I think honestly, if the live action is able to get to this point, I think this will be a good moment. Yeah,
I think they while I'm ultimately kind of question the choice of, again, we hashed all that out in our discussions about the live action show, but, like, there are definitely, like, pros and cons to introducing, like, Kobe and Garp and stuff like that. But I think if they can really, like, try to bring it all around full circle in moments like this, where it's like, these characters are kind of on their own adventures.
Yeah. And it just gives it their own sense of like things are happening, it's not just the world doesn't stop just because we're following Luffy. Yeah. But Kobe has one more thing for us one more bit of lore for us, because what is the second half of the Grand Line called? On the other side of the Red Line at the end of the ocean is a place that they call the New World. There's a new era coming, and the people who can guide that new age are gathering on the oceans. The one who can master those oceans will become the king of the pirates. Let's meet again there.
Well, and we already got the indication that the 4 emperors are all hanging out in the New World, so...
Yep. We just got a name for it, and that's cool. And
yeah, I love the weight that he gives that panel where it's just like the background kind of fading out, the camera zoomed out with the grass.
It's so good, and I love that we get Kobe's new dream. I will become an admiral in the Navy, which hell yeah, let's make Kobe an admiral. That'd be awesome.
And then I love that he even still he gets embarrassed by saying what his dreams are. But I love that Luffy encourages him. Where he's like, if you're gonna fight me, you should keep that attitude.
Yeah, the next time we meet, I'm gonna be stronger too, much stronger. So Kobe's just like, why does he have so much faith in me? And it's so cool. I don't know. There's something really nice about the friendship between these two. Yeah, and
I think what I love about it is because they're on opposite sides, but like they're still encouraging each other. Yeah. And that they're both just like encouraging each other to be better. And I love that. And I love that the live action show captured that dynamic between these two characters like so succinctly. But yeah, no, it's seeing Kobe again is a delight. It's a fantastic twist if you didn't see it coming. And it really, like, these chapters really give you the sense that the world of One Piece like exists far beyond just like the Straw Hats.
Yeah. Things just keep growing, and I like that Sora even recognizes him as like, looks like you planted the seeds for some strong enemies in the future. So, but of course, it wouldn't be a One Piece in between set of chapters without a giant party. Sanji starts.
I forgot about. I was like, we hadn't had the party seed yet.
Yeah, Sanji starts cooking, and all of a sudden, here comes the Frankie family. Here comes Sodom Gomorrah. Here comes the Giants and Galila. Here comes Iceberg. We got, of course, Paulie saying, you're shameless for being in a bikini.
Of course, yep.
And Frankie, of course, starts dancing, and even Sniper King shows up to party.
I think what I love about these party sections is that I feel like they just get bigger and bigger every time that they have one.
They really do.
Yeah.
They really do. Oh, man. It's such a fun time, but of course, we have a little tinge of something different this time around where...
Every party needs a party pooper.
Yep. And in this case... It's Aokiji, and
yep.
I love that. I love this scene between them because it fleshes out Aokiji a little bit more too. It's like, why didn't you run away like you always do? If you'd acted on your own, you could have gotten away from CP9. It's like, no, it was different. I couldn't abandon him this time. I couldn't just leave him to die. Aokiji explains that Saul was actually a close friend of his, and that's why he's been helping her, because he gave his life to protect you. So I want to make sure you don't waste your life. And see what happened. But even after,
which is a really cool connection, by the way.
Yeah. I like that they're sort of building up Aokiji a little bit more in that way. It's like, even after 20 years, you still hadn't found anyone or anything you could rely on. I decided that I couldn't let you, a ticking time bomb like you, run around. So I thought you had a death wish. So I thought Enies Lobby would be the end. But I also didn't expect the Straw Hats to actually beat CP9. Have you finally found a place where you can feel safe? And she just says yes. And I don't know if it was right or wrong for Saul to let you live, but maybe you can answer that question for me. And she just says, I intend to. It's like, oh.
Yeah, God. The conversation gives me chills.
Yeah.
And he tells her to, like, live your life and prove that O'Hara is still alive. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
It makes you kind of like Aokiji in that way. I also like that he steals some meat before he leaves.
And I feel like you get the feeling that he kind of has his own ulterior motives.
Oh, for sure. There's something going on in that head. But we end our chapter with the news that Shanks managed to break through the Navy lines and has been able to make direct contact with Whitebeard.
Which, well, hey, now that we found out that they're both emperors, and now here's the 5 elders freaking out. It's like, oh God, they're about to meet.
Yeah. Oh God, what are they talking about?
Yeah.
And that is our big question. Of course, we do have an SBS, which is the weirdest one yet, I'd say.
Yep.
The arrow fruit user, which I honestly can't believe this got adapted into English. You can tell it's far beyond the 4Kids era, where we got just the name Areola Fleur.
Yeah, or it's just like, can Robin, if she can grow body parts, so she can grow breasts anywhere. So Otis, I'm sure she could do it. But yeah.
Oh God.
Oh my goodness.
All right, well, let's get to chapter 434. We're still not close to being done with this.
No, sorry guys.
Whitebeard and Red Hair, where Anaru sees this man sleeping on the moon, and nope, I'm going to electrify him.
Shoot first, ask questions later, which I do find it funny. Again, it's just like this whole situation is ridiculous. Anaru is on the moon. He finds life and just decides to kill it.
Yes. So, okay. But now we get the meeting between Whitebeard and Shanks, where they've made contact with each other, and the Navy are like, stay on high alert. And we see how big Shanks. I forgot how big Shanks's ship is, and even he has palm trees on it. And then even bigger in the blue whale front is Whitebeard. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, and I think you get the sense of how big Whitebeard's crew is with the introduction of like two characters here on the next page, where we have Jozu, who's this big, massive unit, and then also Marco, and they are God, what's the word?
Commanders?
They're I forgot what word I was going to try to say, but Jozu is the Whitebeard Pirates' 3rd Division commander, Marco 1st Division commander. Mm-hmm. So the fact that this pirate crew has divisions and we are simply meeting like people who are like at the tippy top of their line of command, but also still under Whitebeard is nuts. Yeah. And also,
and Ace, of course, is the 2nd Division commander.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot we learned that. Remember Jozu and Marco. They're important.
I figured. I've absolutely figured. I also love this line. It's like, hey, newcomers, stay back or else you'll get knocked down. It's like,
this scene.
And this is so badass. Just by walking between them, this thing called hockey that Shanks apparently has is overwhelming to the point that most of the crew of Whitebeard passes out. Yeah. Some of them stand up, but all the new members.
It's just that shot of like Shanks in shadow holding a giant like bottle of beer or wine. It's just, oh my goodness. And this is our first mention of hockey. Just again, keep that tucked in the back of your mind.
Oh yeah,
that's 50 other things.
That'll get explained eventually, I think.
We'll get there when we get there.
I don't know how long, but it's eventually get explained. But it's like, what the hell is that? That it's like, if you have too weak of a will, Sanji can take you. Not
Shanks,
not Sanji. He kind of looks like Sanji in a way, but that's
a little bit.
I love how Shanks just is like, you have to excuse me, I have trouble staying relaxed when I'm on an enemy ship. Then Whitebeard's like, you look at your face, my scars ache, the ones I got from him. And he's like, hey, I'm not here to fight. There's just something we have to talk about. And yet, you bear your hockey with me without restraint, you fool.
You can just feel like the presence. Like this is one of my favorite scenes around this time of the manga, just because you're just like, holy crap.
It feels so important. And then Whitebeard's like, we're not going to be fighting. You can leave us alone. And he's like, this is wine from the West Blue. And then we find out that's his hometown. Shanks' hometown. He's like, it's fine.
Yeah.
And he lists off Roger, Garp, Sengoku. Aren't many who left who remember the way the ocean used to be. 22 years have passed. Then I can't remember. I don't remember I don't think we had this. This is the first revelation, right? For this?
I'm pretty sure.
There's a lot of chapters, and I've known this, but I also made sure to keep it in my back pocket because of the talk between them. But no, we found out the ship that Buggy and Shanks were on during that flashback was actually Gold Roger's.
Yeah. There will be more evidence to that later, but yeah, the fact that it's just like, oh yeah, like you're an apprentice. Well, Shanks, not that surprising, but Buggy also being on Roger's ship is so funny.
Amazing that he tried to steal from Roger the devil fruit and thought he could do all this stuff. Like, my God.
Yep. And I like this little bit of it's sort of explaining what had happened. Because, Whitebeard's just kind of like, whatever happened to the red-nosed guy? Did he get killed? But, on the day of Roger's execution, Shanks was like, join my crew. And then, Buggy's like, I'm not going to work under you.
Yeah. We see how well that worked out for him.
I love that. I feel like it's kind of you have the guy in high school where you're just like, oh, man, that guy turned out like he's a CEO now. And you have the other guy who's just like, oh, he's getting in arguments with teenagers.
Yeah, online. And I like that Whitebeard even has even more stuff that I don't know anything about. It's like, there aren't many who speak of the legend anymore. Your duel with Hawkeye is still fresh in my memory. And it's like, oh, so apparently he had a duel with Mihawk, and that's how they earned respect with each other. And then he says how everybody was surprised when he came back from the East Blue missing an arm. It's like, one enemy did that. It's like, oh, I gave it up for the sake of the new era. And
yeah,
it's so good.
That's so cool. Which again, now that you know who Shanks is, the fact like he could have demolished the Neptunian in chapter 1.
Yeah, I think it was just because he specifically chose to save Luffy. That's the only reason he lost his arm.
Yeah, and then I love this bit of dialogue here where he's just like the only scar of mine that aches right now is the one on his face, because that apparently Blackbeard did that. which is like,
wow,
what is happening?
What is up with Blackbeard? That's immediately. It's like, it wasn't because I'm careless. You understand what I'm saying? He laid low and waited for his chance. He didn't even rise up to become a squad leader or make a name for himself. He hid himself behind the giant shadow of Whitebeard. And once he finally had enough power, that's when he made his move. So a man like that will never be satisfied. He'll keep aiming for the top with his own will. He will aim for your seat. So Whitebeard's like, all right, get to the point. What do you want from me? Stop Ace. That's all Shanks cares about is you need to stop Ace from taking on Blackbeard. He's young and he's good enough to become second division later. I know that, but it's not the time to pit Blackbeard and Ace against each other. Don't go after him.
Yeah. And then if Whitebeard's just kind of like, no.
Yeah. He's like, no. Teach killed a crewmate. Everyone that becomes that I lit on my pirate ship, no matter how stupid they are a son to me. The souls of my dead sons, my crew, call out for vengeance, and it's my responsibility to show that Teach you can't live in this world without a code of conduct. So
and I wanted Ace mentioned that too, didn't he? That he was after Blackbeard because of that.
Yes,
is that right?
Yes, that's the entire reason he's hunting down Blackbeard, because he killed another crewmate. Yep.
Which, and I love that line from Whitebeard where he's like, you can't live in this world without a code of conduct. And so I feel like this is one of those things where, we're about to see negotiations have broken down, but like they're both right. Shanks is looking at the bigger picture here of like, I'm not so sure about that. And Whitebeard is like, nah, man, this is a family matter.
Yeah. If this happens, no one will be able to stop this new era from spiraling into chaos. And Whitebeard's like, I don't think that doesn't frighten me, whatever. And they clash between their halberd and their sword, and it literally split the heavens.
Oh my goodness.
Good God.
Again, I want to reiterate, we just learned that both of these characters are final boss level, and that we are seeing them fight on screen, and it literally, it's just like split the heavens.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I love how we see, Shanks's crew, where I forget some of the names, except for Yasopp, of course.
Yasopp. Ben Beckman.
Ben Beckman, that's his other one. That's I love that. I love that damn crew. I don't know why. You barely see them, but every time you see them, you're like, those are the boys.
Yep.
And that's when we move on to the Grand Line on a certain island, where the Blackbeard crew has seen an article about the Straw Hats and about what they did to Enos Lobby. It's like, their bounty's going to jump again. And we see the guy who delivered the message to the Navy trying to put in Blackbeard's name to become one of the warlords.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I completely forgot that happened.
The sniper, the wrestler, the guy who's all about luck, and he's like, all right, let's go after Luffy. He's nearby. Let's get him and prepare to set sail and see how good his fate is. And that's when all of a sudden he gets called out to. And we see that he's like seemed to have completely raided, maybe even killed this entire village, taking all their loot. Like he's acting like a proper pirate here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's when he's confronted. Hey, Teach, hold on. I've been looking for you. It's like, crap.
Hey, here's our other cover story coming back into the main narrative.
Ace finally found Blackbeard.
Yep.
Oh.
And I forgot to point this out, but and this wasn't something the English manga did, but the Whitebeard logo got retconned. So
yes, it finally
it's
did.
No
get
longer
retconned.
a manji.
It was here where it finally got retconned. It took a while.
Yeah.
So,
seeing it on Ace's back, I was like, oh yeah, okay, Oda did change that.
yeah, that's where it reminded me as well. So I wondered how long it would take, but yeah, it's this big moment.
Yep. Man, this is bonkers.
Oh yeah, so many
I
major
love this.
things happening, and the crazy thing is the SBS matches in a way, explaining some further things that I was like, oh yeah, that does make sense. Because somebody's like, okay, Kokoro's a mermaid, so why is her granddaughter Chimney a regular human? Don't the mermaid genes pass down? And we get the explanation from Oda. When Kokoro was young, a very long time ago, I love that little line, she came with Tom from Fishman Island. She married a man from Water 7 and had a son that was half mermaid. That son married a human girl, and they had Chimney. Chimney is a quarter mermaid, so she's very good at swimming. And so in chapter 403, you can see that even a small child like her can save a drowning Luffy from the whirlpool. That's because she has mermaid blood within her. I didn't even think
really
about
cool.
that.
Yeah,
That's
me neither.
amazing. That thought process that she doesn't even realize it, but she's just naturally good at swimming and is able to pull Luffy, even though she's a small child, from a whirlpool.
Yep.
That's cool. Then we get more of like what Lucci was all about, because somebody was like, hey, Lucci killed the 500 hostages and killed the captain too, but why do you have to kill the hostages? So in short, Lucci believes that being weak is a sin. In his mind, soldiers who were easily caught and caused the nation to be in jeopardy were likely to do the same thing in the future, and he decided they weren't worthy of living. So to prevent this incident from happening again, he took their lives.
Which I feel like we saw that in action with Nero.
Yeah, that's true.
Just kind of like, it's just like, you're not good enough, die.
Yeah, you're too weak. So, whew.
Yeah. I love that Oda's like, good job, and you beat him, Luffy. Good job.
Yeah, thank goodness. But yeah, let's get to our final chapter for this set. 435, You Have My Sympathies. And the guy that he electrocuted, still alive. And I gotta say, every time I see this guy, it's just like, Chopper?
Yeah. Maybe he's made of rubber. Why did the electricity not work?
Yeah, it did not work at all. He's fried a bit, but he still has his gun. He has his canteen. He looks like a little explorer.
Yeah.
From the 30s. Like a pith helmet.
Friggin' World War I. What's going on here?
I don't remember where this goes at all.
Me neither. Again, aside from the parts where I was like, oh, this actually makes sense. But yeah, there are a lot about this that I've already kind of forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
yeah.
It just, between all of this, not just like the cover stories and all the lore we've been learning, you're just like, the world is so much bigger than you had ever thought.
And I love every moment of it. It's just, it's the kind of stuff that gets you excited. Just like, oh, retcons, whatever. But it's just like, it fits in so perfectly.
One Piece as One Piece is what this is.
Yeah. Oh,
this
absolutely.
Is the stuff that I eat it up, man. I love it.
One of the things I've been doing recently is I got these things called Encyclopedia Eorzea for Final Fantasy 14, and it breaks down the lore of Final Fantasy 14, and you could just see how there were bits and pieces in place that maybe it wasn't intended from the get-go, but they were able to take those scraps of information and expand upon them and make them so much bigger to make the world cohesive in its way. It's just like, does Oda have this just gigantic design document where this puzzle piece that he just refers to and figures out how to make work? Like, my God.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like we said that he saw in one of the like way back SBSs where he's like, yeah, this was a 5-year story originally.
I can't see how.
Yeah. I feel like we have reached to the point where like Oda's got it all figured out now. Like,
yeah.
He's just putting down all of the little nuggets now that we have sort of, again, just like broad strokes, big picture stuff. And again, some of the stuff that we've been introduced to is not going to come back for 100, 200, 300 chapters maybe, or even further along than that. So it's just like, oh, okay, here's here's where the story, I feel like we have found its stride
Yeah,
in terms of
absolutely
where the world is going. And I love it.
And we get a nice little bonding moment where Frankie's working on this new ship. And all of a sudden, here comes Iceberg and Polly and Tilestone and Lulu, all ready to help to build the ship. And they're like, Iceberg's like, "Oh, you're done rebuilding this, done fixing the city." He's like, "The employees told us to go help with rebuilding the pirate ship that got burned." And it's cool to see these five come together to work on this ship.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the really like satisfying things about like Water 7 as a story arc is like all of these relationships that were really like kind of tenuous and really strained. And it's like through the actions of like Luffy and the Straw Hats, it's like he's kind of inadvertently repaired friendships and brought people together.
And that was that's the whole thesis behind this one, or the like not thesis, but the whole point of this story is like friendships being fractured and trying to rebuild that, which kind of works out when you're looking for a shipwright, somebody that can build things. So it's almost like Oda planned this.
Whoa.
But yeah, it's just seeing them all work together. It's a nice little moment. And it's time for the Frankie family, though, to see today's newspaper where they're talking about what happened in Enos Lobby, the same one that Blackbeard was looking at. And they're like, okay, what does it say about us? What do we have to do? It doesn't talk about us at all. It's like, Frankie family's in the clear. It's like,
they're safe.
Fugitives. Yay.
That's convenient.
And Sanji's like, so did your grandfather pull some strings and say they were innocent bystanders? I don't think he knows how to do complicated stuff like that. And
I love that
Chopper immediately agreed.
Yeah, they're just like impossible.
No. And that's when Robin realizes like, must have been Aokiji. I don't know what he's up to.
Yep. Ulterior motives.
Yep. So hey, it works out because we're already pirates, but it would have been terrible for them to be forced to go on the run.
Yep.
But they are talking a lot of trash about us. It says that we declared war on the government. It even blames us for destroying the island. And
right, because it was a buster call.
Yeah, I know. And Zora's like, looks like our bounties are going to go up again. Yay. And Chopper's like, oh, I get a bounty. And Sanji's like, oh, I might get a bounty. And Nami's like, no, I don't want a bounty.
I forgot that Sanji doesn't have a bounty yet, does he?
Yeah, they only have 3 members that actually have bounties. Robin, Zoro, and Luffy.
Yeah, that's right.
So, Luffy finally hears the news that Frankie's building him a ship, and Luffy's overjoyed. Can't wait to see how it turns out. But they're like, hey, you can't see you can't see it until it's finished because he wants it to be a surprise. And now he's like, hey, I'll do some shopping until the ship is ready. Where's the 100 million berries that used to be here? And Luffy's like, oh yeah, I bought meat and booze for the party. I used it all up. There's hardly anything left. The way Luffy looks, the most beat up possible. You think even more.
Yeah,
so
even more than Garp.
And he's like, I was going to fill it with expensive furniture. Well, let's go see what we can scrounge up.
Yep.
So, took Frankie 5 days to complete the ship, which is amazing.
Yeah, no, seriously. What is it? He's just built different, man.
I know. These guys at Galileo, holy crap. And of course, Luffy wants an allowance, but she says no. But they get to enjoy a little vacation where I love just how massive the bump on his head is.
Yeah, I feel like it's getting bigger.
Chopper's going to be buying some medical books as well as candy, some water candy, which is actually kind of important.
Yeah.
I just realized how important that actually was. Huh.
Oh.
Zoro's trying to find a sword to replace it, but it's just not working out. Nami, of course, can't help but buy even more clothes. Sanji's, of course, getting more food.
I like these scenes of them all just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, we get it's kind of a repeat of Logtown. I'm always going to call it Logtown. It's weird to say Roguetown to me. And that's when Sanji notices Usopp trying to come up with excuses to come back onto the ship.
The poor boy just can't let go of his pride.
Nope. And just like, just sort of scoot in and like, slipping in inadvertently, or maybe I'll go to Elbaf. Oh, I don't need you. I was like, oh, you want me back? Oh, okay, I'll come back if you really want me.
He's after all that they've been through, he can't figure this out, and he's going through it.
He's just trying to lie his way back in, basically, and act like nothing happened. And we get to see this love these shadows of you as you see the ship coming together.
Yeah, it's such a great shot.
Yeah. But on the third day, the log has charged. The log pose is pointing at the next island and ready to go. Kokoro is like, hey, do you know where that log will take you? It looks like it's pointing it downward a little. So, well, yeah. The next island is the underwater paradise, Fishman Island.
Yeah. Apparently, that's the... Oh, I love that, again, it's interesting that it's underwater.
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like it's funny, islands, too. So just underwater islands, yeah. Sure. Yeah. And of course Sanji's all excited because like it's the home of the mermaids. Yes, the mermaids. And he looks at Kokoro, he's like, oh god.
What's wrong with dreaming a little? I'm a pirate.
I love how she hiccups when he looks at him. It's just that she's still a drunken old woman. Yeah. It's like, there are young ones, relax.
It's a little thing too, but I do like Nami's a little apprehensive, just like, Fishman, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's like, I'm sure there's good ones too because they were pirates, so it's probably fine. Well, how do you get into paradise? Well, that's you'll have to find out when you get there. But more importantly, look at the front page of today's newspaper. 14 ships disappeared this month at the Florian Triangle. You must sail through that area to reach Fishman Island. And every year, over 100 ships go missing in that ocean. So, God, I haven't heard the Bermuda Triangle talked about in so long, and now it's
right. Yeah, now that we've got we've got sort of their One Piece equivalent. I love that. So I love how like this gag escalates because like Kokoro's trying to scare him, just like, ghost ships, you don't know, and then Chopper gets scared. It's just like, but Luffy's like, I get to meet a living skeleton. And then Zoro's like,
how did you come up with that? Like, what? I don't think that actually works out. Yep. And just like, Nami's like, I don't want to see that. What happens in that ocean? And again, Kokoro trying to creep him out. But then Robin mentions like, well, when merchant ships or pirate vessels become ghost ships, they call them treasure ships. There are rumors of untold wealth abandoned on ships out at sea. And Nami's like, let's go find some ghost ships.
Yeah. Kokoro's like, okay, all right.
Oh my. And Zoro's like, maybe I'll find some swords on a treasure ship. So there's some possibilities there. And that's when the Mozu and Kiwi show up. It's like, hey, Big Bro Frankie wants everyone to come. The ship of his dreams is complete.
Oh,
and Jimmy
man.
even says it looks amazing. So it's like, wow, they worked fast. I think this is day 3, they said. Yeah, yep. Third day. So 3 days instead of 5.
Good Lord.
To finish up this new ship. And they're like, all right, let's go. Let's do it. But before they go, here come the Frankie family because, hey, did you hear? We want to ask you a favor because did you see the wanted signs? And we're like, the what? And they're like, you got a huge bounty. Every single one of you has a bounty. And Sanji's like, yes. Chopper's like, yes. And Nami's like, no. So they lay out the posters and we see the new bounties. Hell yeah.
Big reveal. Yep. Here we go.
So Luffy from 100 million berries to 300 million berries.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yep. That fits. Zoro from 70 million berries to 120 million berries. Higher than Luffy's first and above Crocodile.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're right.
Robin, from 79 million berries to 80 million berries, tying Crocodile. Because I think, was he 80 or 90?
I kind of thought he was 100, but I don't remember.
I don't think, no, he wasn't 100 because I know Luffy went above Crocodile after beating him.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So he's either 80 or 90. I can't remember. Mm-hmm. So, they're using their old photos from before, of course. But then we have our 4 new ones. First up, the next highest bounty. Well, let's save him for last. Next up, Nami, who gets the official title Cat Burglar Nami with 16 million berries. Fair enough, not too bad. Also, our camera guy showing up because, this is her in her bikini when she was hanging out by the pool.
It looks like she's posing for the camera.
I know, right? I always wondered, like, where did they get that photo? And when I saw her by the pool, I was like, oh my God, they only took it recently because of the photo guy.
Yeah.
Same with Robin. For Robin, he was somehow there to get Robin in an action shot. Maybe it was Zoro too, because I think that might be his new look. I don't remember what his old poster looked like.
I could just barely tell by the jacket that might be his Enies Lobby outfit.
I think it might be.
Yeah.
But then also the King of Snipers, Sniper King, with a 30 million bounty.
My boy.
Heck yeah, 30 million, right up there. That's a pretty good start, wasn't that? No, that wasn't Luffy's first bounty. Was that Luffy's first bounty or not?
I think it might have been 30,
Yes,
30-ish. Sounds right.
Somewhere around there, like after defeating Arlong. So look at that. Higher than Arlong for a Sniper King.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then we have our two jokes.
Yep.
Chopper, the cotton candy loving pet. Oh, the berry of 50 the bounty of 50 berries, because the picture is from when he got the candy with Luffy.
Yeah.
I always wonder where they got that one too, but I finally put it together.
I love how specific that is.
50 berries. Wow. Just because he's the pet, apparently.
Yep.
And then the biggest joke, Blackleg Sanji, photo not available. 77 million berries, pretty good bounty, but it's just the worst drawing ever.
Oh my god, I love this gag so much.
So
on the next
good.
page you have everybody's reactions, and then you just see Sanji. Who is this?
3 of them are depressed.
Yeah.
Actually, the 2 that were excited are depressed, and the one that was not excited is like, no, I actually have a good bounty.
Yeah. Which, I mean, God, that's like 77 is not bad for Sanji, but just I love the fact that they just completely botched the.
I think it works too, because it's possible that he could still do his covert stuff that people won't recognize him.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a good gag.
Yep.
I there has to be it's either a gag against Sanjay or there's some sort of plan on Oda's part. I don't know which. The Frankie family was like, yeah, you guys can do all that, but that's not why we're here. The favor we actually want from all these bounties is that Frankie has a bounty. 44 million berries.
Which, hey,
yeah,
not insignificant.
No, just above Sniper King and below Sanji. So not bad. The cyborg Frankie is like, yeah, we managed to get out of it, but Big Bro wasn't so lucky. So if he stays here, he will be in danger. And if he gets caught, we won't be able to save him. So he'll probably be worried about us and refuse to leave the island. But we talked among ourselves. Please take Big Bro out to sea with you. Force him if you have to. He used to be the son of a pirate. And I feel like the son of the pirate thing is like, but I do like the idea. It's like, oh, right, we came here for a shipwright. And something we've not really talked about just because we know the answer now. Yep. I remember there being a big debate. Who was going to be the new Straw Hat crew member?
Yep.
Everybody talked about that because, like, is it going to be Paulie? Is it going to be Frankie? There's so many shipwrights. And I remember it coming down to between Paulie and Frankie for a while.
Yeah, because I think of the shipwrights, they're definitely the two with the most like screen time.
But honestly, I think as soon as we got Frankie's backstory, that locked him in.
Yeah, in pretty much. He's got the backstory. He's got a bounty now.
Yeah, he got a fight with CP9. Like,
I think honestly during Idiot's Lobby, kind of did more than some of the other Straw Hats. Like he played a pretty pivotal role during that whole thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So it's just like. No, yeah, he's in.
I mean, if you've seen anything around One Piece or Shonen Jump, when you go to One Piece, like, but
yeah, well, which is, I feel like kind of the tricky thing in general with like sort of the zeitgeist around One Piece, because I feel like it's really easy to spoil crew members.
Yes.
Even if you don't know who they are, like as characters, you're like, oh, I've seen that character before in like promo art, so they're gonna join the crew, which is like. By the time, I got into One Piece, I basically knew, everybody up to a point because I had just I've seen them before.
Yeah. Frankie was the first one that was not a surprise because I was a little bit late getting to this one. So yeah, just kind of missed it, but yeah.
Which is why there are other things that I try my best to keep under wraps.
Yeah. Fortunately, the crew members aren't too big of a deal.
Yeah, I feel like there's generally you kind of know.
Yeah, I mean, you watch the first opening of the One Piece anime, and it shows that's up to Sanji.
Yeah. God, I remember opening 3 spoils of Robin while she's still a villain, which I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're just like, no, we don't care.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, but yeah,
woo! That was chunky.
It's been a long time since we've had an hour and a half long podcast.
I love talking about One Piece. Oh my god.
Here's the crazy thing. We're still not through the post-Enos Lobby arc. We could have one just as long next week.
Next week's the last one, right? Maybe?
Yes. Next week is the end of the post-Enos Lobby arc. So,
Unbelievable.
we're getting there. Yep.
Unbelievable.
Oh, it's coming. I'm looking forward to it. But
Woo!
with that, I believe we've finally said all we've wanted to say about chapters 431 to 435. Thank you so much for listening, and you can find more of my ramblings and stream VODs over at BitNerd Games on YouTube or BitNerd with an underscore at the end on Twitter. And Brandon, where can everyone find you at?
I'm at Brandon Bovia on Twitter, talking about anime, manga, games, and my job. And yeah, that's, just staying the course and working on lots of fun manga.
Yeah, absolutely. And hey, if you'd like to help us out more, you can support the podcast over at patreon.com/Derek Bittner. That's DERRICKBITNER to listen to the next episode ad-free 3 days early. And make sure to return next time as we discuss chapters 436 to 440 of One Piece. We're wrapping up Enos Lobby and Water 7. So
God.
So until then, my friends, bye.
Remember to take life one piece at a time.
When a pirate joins my crew, no matter how stupid they are, they become like a son to me. So what am I to say to the soul of my murdered child? You can't live in this world without a code of conduct. If Teach doesn't realize that on his own, then it's my responsibility to drill it into his thick head.